Okay, everybody's got a fucking podcast. I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously anyone can do it.
Wait, this is a podcast?
Are you recording right now?
Technical difficulties.
No, you don't have to say anything. I'm gonna edit it out.
Technical difficulties.
Okay.
I put mayonnaise on a pickle.
It was not the best, but it might have been the worst.
Do my feet? I mean, my feet stink, right?
Yeah.
Ba-doo.
Boop, boop. Yep. There it is.
Go team.
Go team. Jason.
There.
Grindhouse. Overall, like the series? The 2-part, whatever.
It was a fun ride. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It built me up to it. I'm glad I did Death Proof first and then into Planet Terror. I felt like that set me up good.
Yeah. Excuse me. Got a little burp there. Yeah, I like that they don't really establish an order, so you can watch them whatever. I guess I think in a lot of premieres, what I was looking at, it was Planet Terror then Death Proof, which doesn't make a lot of sense because they just everything with the referencing of Jungle Julia on the radio and Planet Terror. I was like, well, that already happened. And then if you think like Death Proof can't happen after Planet Terror
because the world ended.
Because the world's over. Yeah. So whatever. That was my suggestion. Watch Death Proof first.
Yeah,
because I think that's how it works.
That definitely worked out better for me.
Yeah. Because we have some recurring characters such as Sheriff Earl McGraw, who's been in Kill Bill and I think Dusk Till Dawn 2, and I want to say he's in something else, but he's in these two. So kind of a recurring character in the Tarantino universe.
Right. Tarantino-verse.
Slash the Tarantino Rodriguez verse. Because Dusk Till Dawn is technically, I think the second one is Rodriguez's movie.
Okay.
If I remember right, but I don't know. I'm open to being wrong. Email us. Tell us I'm wrong. Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna just let you. If you want to do it, like I'll give you the freedom to be like, yeah, right here. But like me,
I got to tell you, the 8 seconds it takes for me to plant text in and put an animation on it, it's really killing me.
Oh well, shit! I'm just gonna start throwing them everywhere.
All right, well,
right here is.
I have a day job. Come on.
No. So yeah. Going into this one, I mean it's October, so I put this in October. 2-parter. Tarantino said this is kind of his version of a slasher. And I like a good slasher movie. I don't like legitimate horror. Like I don't know, Conjuring stuff like that.
So
like,
you don't like to be scared, more so just like the repulsed and like, oh shit, that could happen kind of thing, or
part of a movie to me is the fact that at least this type of movie that's so ridiculous that whatever. Like with Halloween. It's like, okay, there's not a guy who goes around and kills people with a knife. I mean, there is. That's not the part that I'm saying.
There is. Look it up.
There's not a guy that, no matter how many times you shoot him in the head, catch him on fire, just pierce his body a bunch of times.
No, all you have to do is go to a stunt team, give them like $10,000, $15,000, they death proof you.
Oh, interesting.
And you're set, yeah.
Okay. There's not a guy like that. You know what I mean? There's not a guy that chases you around in your dreams and kills you. There's not a kid that drowned in a lake that comes around and, murders you with a machete. Like, it's just...
Sure. Well, it was his mom in the first one.
It was. Yes.
There's definitely moms that run around and kill people.
Yes, but then she died and there's no return of her.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, the ridiculous part of it, I like that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Because it makes it feel far away and not going to happen.
Whereas, I'm not sure how I feel about ghosts, and I'm pretty sure there's ghosts, So, stuff like Conjuring and other kind of stuff, you hear a creak in the house late at night, and you go, the fuck's that?
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, there could definitely be ghosts or something. But then I watched one of like the shows where they were doing like a ghost hunt thing, and they were on like a bridge, and he's like, fuck you, ghosts! Like, he's just like talking mad shit at the ghosts, and... Obviously, nothing happens there. So I'm like, you know what? If he can get away with it, like, maybe if there's ghosts, there's not that kind of ghosts that are just going to immediately retaliate and
I mean, there's definitely bad. There's some bad shit. I mean, you read around enough. Granted, you kind of take everything with a grain of salt, but I don't know. I'm not fucking around with no ghost shit. I mean, I think those ghost hunter guys are.
So I should leave the Ouija board.
Yeah, leave that. You leave that in the car.
Okay.
Yeah, don't bring that in here.
Yeah. I got one under my bed, actually.
Well, to each his own, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I just. Yeah, that's enough about ghosts. So the whole concept for this series, the whole being under the Grindhouse veil, is. I took this right from Wikipedia. The idea for Grindhouse came to Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino when Tarantino set up screenings of double features in his house, complete with trailers, before and in between the films. During one screening in 2003, Rodriguez noticed that he owned the same double feature poster as Tarantino for the 1957 films Drag Strip Girl and Rock All Night. Rodriguez asked Tarantino, I always wanted to do a double feature. Hey, why don't you direct one and I'll do the other? Tarantino quickly replied, and we've got to call it Grindhouse. So, and they did legitimate fake trailers for these. And two of them got turned into real movies. The ones that remained fake trailers were Werewolf Woman of the SS, Don't, and Thanksgiving. And the two that were made into actual movies were Machete, heard of it?
Yep.
Danny Trejo, right? And Hobo with a Shotgun, which I had not heard of until recently. I was just kind of going through some HBO Max stuff, and I was like, Hobo with a Shotgun. I put it on my list. I haven't watched it. But yeah. So that's fun. You Machete guy? You're not a Machete guy.
I haven't seen it, no, but I do like the fact that he's like the same person in every movie ever.
Yeah. And just fun fact, I think Rodriguez does most of his original scores for the movie. I know he did that at least in this. And so Kill Bill 2, he had asked, I know this is kind of just redundant because we did Kill Bill at one point, but he did the score for Kill Bill 2 for Tarantino. He was like, let me do a score for you, and if you hate it, like whatever, I'll just do it for free, because if nothing else, it's just good practice for me.
Sure.
And he's like, you should just have a score done for you. Like you should have that. And Tarantino's like, okay. So, he has a lot of that, kind of the more Spanish sounding like flamenco stuff in that movie, and he's definitely got a certain sound to his music.
Yeah,
it's cool when you can tell guitarists apart just by the different styles
like,
they use. You're like, oh, that's Slash.
That's it.
That kind of stuff, Yeah. So Dr. Dakota Block is the other recurring character. I did Earl McGraw, and then I just kind of tailed off of that recurring character thing.
You're good.
Jungle Julia is recurring just in the way that she's mentioned on the radio in Planet Terror, just as a tribute. And I wonder what happened. There's the twins, the evil twins. They're in the bar, they're like around the bar.
Yeah,
you see them outside as you first come up to the Texas Chili Parlor, where most of the shit goes down for the first group of girls.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe they weren't like 21, so it's like they couldn't go in and drink. But then I was like, but they also served barbecue, so it wouldn't have been weird. So I was like,
right.
What are they doing?
Yeah. So there's that, and the Evil Twins, Jungle Julia, Dr. Dakota Block, Sheriff Earl McGraw, and I think that was it. Yeah. Chronologically, we did Death Proof first. And that's why it's part one. And Greg Nicotero did the effects stuff for both of these movies, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because Walking Dead, heard of it?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Awkward.
Very awkward. So this is a very dialogue-heavy movie. What did you think? What did you think of that?
So I didn't really care for it at first, but then eventually I started to fall in love with Jungle Julia. Just the way she talked, like her mannerisms, just the sound of her voice. It makes sense that she was like a radio DJ kind of person, because I feel like that's a person I could listen to.
Yeah.
But like I think I just once I got used to it, it was fine. Like, once I knew that this was going to be something like dialogue heavy, we're supposed to kind of get in, like, and feel something for these people. So it's like the more they talk, interact with each other, we learn a little bit of backstory, like what they're doing. Kind of helped me get, like, a little bit attached to them, and then start to get worried once I knew that, like, obviously the oh shit had to have been coming.
Yes.
So I felt like it did a good job of that, but the dialogue definitely, like, it lasted a long time. I mean, I think we spent almost an hour with these girls, right?
That's why I'm kind of so... Like, I was kind of not so hot about the dialogue. Because if you think about a lot of movies, most, like, 2-hour movies, right? Like, for example, these fucking Bond films we're going through. They spend this whole first hour kind of setting up. And then you're like, oh, now all this... Like, you feel like the movie could be over in another 20 minutes with some of these Bond movies once we get through the first hour. And then you go, oh, they're gonna fuck around for another hour or so.
Yeah, Billy Mays here, but wait, there's more.
And there's gonna be this whole other complicated storyline. And
They always throw in, like, just the one bullshit factor in at the end.
Oh, and there's this other guy, and he's a real piece of shit, too. And you go, what? Why?
Why? It's like we could have had this done in 20 minutes.
But at least for the first hour, you kind of go like, okay, so no matter what, that's kind of the bad guy, and Bond has this or that disadvantage. Like, you know, kind of the concept going forward.
Yeah.
And I suppose just the setup of the first girls. But you really get to know these girls, and that, you know, the concept with what's her face that gives the lap dance, Butterfly. You know, her thing is, oh, don't put out for guys right away, or they won't respect you. And so she, like, you know, her principles. You know, Shauna doesn't like being called. Shanna Banana. Shanna Banana, not Shauna Banana. Which I thought that whole thing was a bit pretentious, because it's like, well, I'm sorry, you have an easily confused name.
And just to aside that, though, I kind of like the novelty that everyone had, like, a thing that made them, like, I could remember their names. Like, I just personally struggle with, like, retaining names through movies unless they're brought up or, like, attached to something.
Yeah.
So, you know, we had Jungle Julia. It was mentioned several times. We saw the billboard. So, like, she was setting me, like, by the time we got to the first bar.
Yeah.
Butterfly was set in after they had that first conversation about, oh, I'm going to be with my friend Butterfly, yada, yada.
Yeah.
And then when the guy said Shauna,
yeah.
and then, you know, she had to get corrected, I was like, okay, like, that's how you do it. Like, we're a handful of minutes in, we have everyone set, and there's, like, a reason to remember everyone's name now.
Yeah.
So, that helped me, because I'm stupid. I feel like I wouldn't have been able to, you know, retain their names.
Well, it's also hard to remember names. I mean, for a thing you're... In a show, I feel like it's easier, but then in a movie where you're only getting to know these people for, you know, an hour and a half to 3 hours, possibly, depending on the movie.
Right.
You know, it's a little harder to go, oh, and that's Brian. Brian, he's...
It's Brian.
Yeah. Like, oh, Brian, he's just kind of on the side. He kind of does his own thing, man. Like, you know, to get all the nuances of all these characters, and you're just getting to know them for... It's like going to a work party for a spouse, you know?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I'm just supposed to remember all these people.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not...
So I'm like, there should always be, like, a family tree involved with any kind of party, so you know who's connected to
everyone,
who.
no matter what kind of party it is, everyone should just have a name tag.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if it's like a party of just friends, then whatever. But like, if it's like
if
you're bringing all these
any
new
randoms
people
involved,
if you're bringing all these new people together, like every time Charles drags some poor friend around, like me, to a party that he wasn't invited to, and you just like, oh, is this not cool? Like, there should just be a name tag slapped on me and slapped on everybody else, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, you know what? Everyone should just... I'm going to start keeping name tags around my house.
Well, I'm about to say, you know, is that on you or is that on Charles? Like, should Charles be keeping around because he's the guy who brings the randos around
Charles
everyone?
Should have a stack of name tags in his car this big.
Yeah.
And should just bring them everywhere with him. So, Death Proof.
Death Proof. It's a movie, I think.
Yeah. So, the dialogue, that was my thing with just... But, very dialogue heavy. Wouldn't say I was a huge fan of it, but it is a Tarantino movie, and you kind of know, no matter what, we're going to have a lot of talking about random stuff, and all that kind of thing.
Problem is I can only ever compare long stretches of dialogue to, how things worked in Pulp Fiction, and it's just never going to be as good.
It's not. Yeah, I mean, Reservoir Dogs is pretty fun.
Yeah.
Those first two, for me, are just...
Dynamite.
I don't know where I know it seems shitty to say, but I think this would be at the bottom of my list on my Tarantino rankings.
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction obviously being number one. Because, I mean, this movie, I would still watch this over certain other movies, but there's a lot more movies I'd watch instead of this.
Yeah, and movies kind of do different things. Like, this would be one, like, I would watch this again with Lindsay, because I would want to see how she reacts with it. It's like, there are movies I would, like, want to see with other people and kind of see how they feel about it.
Right. For instance, that's why I did these two with you, because I know the dialogue-heavy nature. Like, I could have got Dakota on Planet Terror.
Uh-huh.
Because there's just more stuff
going on.
There's a lot of guts and blood, but I just knew that he'd be shitty about
he wouldn't have made it through dialogue. The first hour, yeah.
Yeah. Love you, Dakota. Just I knew this wasn't good.
It's alright.
Know your crowd, alright? Know your partners. I feel like the dialogue is as good as it can be in this movie. Like, there's nothing you can do to change this dialogue and make any. But this was
it's not what they're doing. Is there a couple girls getting together and they're going up to a lake house and they just decided they were gonna get wasted.
Yeah.
It's like that's the context as far as these girls are concerned and what they're gonna care about talking. Like, they're just there to hang out, talk about their boys, get some weed, get drunk, go to lake house. Yeah. Like, that was their only goal for the night. So what else? How interesting can the conversation be when you're kind of just eavesdropping on a girl's night out?
Yeah. Yeah, it couldn't have been done better for what it is.
Yeah.
So, I'm certainly not criticizing. I'm just saying I could have done without some of it. Is all. Yeah. I think that's what I'm saying. And, well, no, I'll get to that. Well, okay, so, in watching some of the special features stuff, I guess what Tarantino said to the girl playing Jungle Julia, he's like, you are to music what I am to movies. Because Tarantino knows everything about just about any fucking movie you might mention. That guy, he just knows. And so I guess that's what that little bit in the car was about with that random band. Like, I don't even remember those names. I certainly wasn't remembering when it was that band name.
Oh, yeah, because they were talking about the guy and like how he was going to be in the Who, I think. And
Pete Townsend was supposedly going to be in this band.
Yeah.
Beaky, Barky, Buckin, Meekchin, Titchers. I don't know the names. I just made up some sounds.
Yeah.
And supposedly it was going to be blah 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 Mitch, Titch, and Pete if he would have joined. And she goes, and in my opinion, he should have. I'm like, okay. Great. And so that's really the only spot that came up in.
Yeah.
Which was interesting. Although, I guess the fact that she's like a radio DJ, I guess the
still kind of like the essence of her character was still there, yeah.
Yeah, there's the essence of it. Yeah. It's a good word for it. Yeah, that was her essence.
I wanted her essence.
You wanted her essence. Nice. So that would have been your girl if you had to pick one girl to.
Oh, sure.
You had to.
I love talking about music, so I'd love to talk with someone who knows like way more than I could ever know, and just have them dump information into my brain.
So you had to marry one girl from this movie at some point.
It'd be
going Jungle Julia.
Oh yeah.
Word.
Is that a criteria we should start establishing for these
movies?
Maybe,
yeah.
Gotta marry one.
Gotta marry one. I don't know who I'd go with there.
Definitely not.
Zoe Bell's definitely cool, though.
God, she's so cool, but like,
she's
just
so
knowing
cool,
that's what her lifestyle is would just stress me out.
Well, just know it. Yeah, that would be rough to like go home to. Like, oh, she's not home. Did she die at work today? Yeah, and then immediately you're blowing up her phone.
I'm definitely not that high octane of a person. I don't think I'd keep her entertained. She'd divorce me for sure. She'd get bored.
Oh, I'm so lethargic. She's just so cool that you'd like to think that you could make it work, but then, yeah, not so much. I don't know. Rosario Dawson's a good-looking gal.
Yeah.
So, although Lee was pretty good-looking in her little cheerleader outfit. Maybe it's Lee for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like the classic choice, you know.
Well, she's
hot
like,
young girl in a cheerleader outfit.
well,
What slasher movie is not complete
without a girl and cheerleader.
Without a
The
hot-
fact that she just left set and just left it on was kind of funny.
Yeah.
But that she's just wearing it all movie is funny to me. She's also kind of like chill too. So, but Zoe's pretty fucking cool.
I'd want to be friends with Zoe. We
I'd
could hang out on the weekends.
I definitely want to be friends with Zoe. So anyway, amidst all this dialogue, we find out that Jungle Julia has put Butterfly up to giving a lap dance to some random guy that comes up and says a poem to her at some point in the night, which that is just the shittiest thing friends could do for you.
Yeah.
Next to what? Okay, what's shittier? You're a girl. Imagine
Already,
you're a girl.
that's awful.
Already, fuck. I've moved down in society a couple pegs. And if you go overseas, it gets way worse. So, you're a girl. Picture that, right? And one friend group you're in, they say, hey, some guy's going to come up, say a poem to you, and you got to give him a lap dance. And you're a girl. You're not a dude. So you're kind of like, I'm going to go grind my ass on some random guy. Right? So that's a
Unless
shitty thing to do.
Kind of hot, kind of sexy.
Fuck, where'd it go? God damn it. Some kind of cute, kind of sexy, hysterically funny, but not funny looking guy.
That's the criteria, guys.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
So, there's that. Or one time, your friends wanted to test drive a car, and they left you with this definite potential rapist at a farm looking thing, and he's wearing a one-piece kind of jumper deal.
Yeah.
Which one are you more upset about?
Let me rephrase your question into a different way, but it means the same thing. Would you rather put your butt on a dude for 5 minutes or get raped and die?
Potentially.
We
You don't think
never
there's any potential.
we never saw her again.
You're thinking that the only way
There is no way that lady is alive.
You're saying if there's a sequel to Death Proof, well, if the world doesn't end in Planet Terror,
Right.
it'd
It'd be like a stopgap.
You're
between the
saying
two.
Lee
is mad dead.
died
Yeah.
before Planet Terror ever
Right.
happened. Like they
Not
came
that
back
she's
with
not
the
still
car.
in that guy's basement, but that she is not alive in that guy's basement.
Right. She was not alive while the plot of Planet Terror was happening. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah,
That's fair.
I'm gonna put my butt on a guy for 5 minutes.
Word. I'll hold you to that.
All right. If you can recite the poem right now, this podcast's gonna get real weird.
The woods are lovely, dark and deep, and I've got miles to go before I sleep. Did you hear me, butterfly? Miles to go before you sleep. Why does it change there? Why does it go from before I sleep to before you sleep?
Because they have to sleep together. I
Oh.
don't know.
Miles of dick riding.
Yeah. Miles, this dick! I forget, they mentioned who the guy who wrote the poem was. It was something Frost. He's real famous, but I can never remember his first name.
Sounds like one of
It's
those.
like Richard Frost.
Sounds like a Poe, the Edgar Allan Poe thing.
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
something
the-
Frost. I remember looking at it, but I
the
can't for life
hash
remember.
slinging.
The hash slinging slasher!
Anyway.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, what'd you think of that stupid, some kind of cute, hot, sexy, hysterically funny, but not funny looking guy? It was repeated multiple times. What'd you think of that? I didn't like it per se.
So I kind of like it. I like some of the novelty, like especially in the way they're telling this story. We kind of are just eavesdropping in on like these girls being out and about, and it kind of gives the illusion to like their life, existed before this movie started. So it might be it's like an inside joke. Maybe it's something they've referenced before when going out. Like it seems like there's a lot of like established relationship between all of them, and that's kind of felt.
Yeah.
At least for what I'm getting. So, like, I kind of like the novelty and, like, there's inside jokes I'm not supposed to get because they get it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of why some of the long dialogue works.
Makes
Because,
sense.
if all of us went out to a bar, a couple of us are having drinks, like, we're gonna go on about stupid shit for hours.
Yeah.
We're gonna have inside jokes. And if there was some random guy just like, creeping in, staring at us, he's probably gonna hear a bunch of shit that doesn't make any sense to him, but to us, it's fine.
Well, we don't know we're on film.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing.
So I kind of like the novelty of that, even if we're not supposed to get it. It makes sense that they probably get it. It's an inside joke or like an inside thing, and
that'd be like us with the "my balls are up here" thing about the story about my brother. Yeah. I'm not gonna give him comment, but you know what?
It's fine.
People are just peering in. You don't get it. It's fine.
You're just looking through the scope. You don't even know.
The scope. You have no idea.
These are inside jokes. They're not outside jokes.
There were the twins for Planet Terror outside. We already kind of talked about that. Shauna things. Pretentious. We already talked about that.
Shauna Banana.
Not Shauna Banana. You know what? I'm going to name a girl Shauna. If I have a kid, I'm going to name her Shauna, and I'm just going to call her Shauna Banana. just to spite that girl.
Her middle name should be Banana, though. You know what I mean?
Shauna Banana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warren's a bad bar owner.
Dog shit.
Tarantino plays Warren, the bar owner. That policy would not fly today. Shots now, ask questions later. Cosby ruined that. Employee on his lap. How'd you like Tarantino's acting here? Not his best movie. Made or acted
Cameoed,
in my opinion. What's your favorite appearance? Kind of three-part question there.
Okay.
What do you think of Tarantino's acting? What's his best appearance? And nope, it's two-part. Okay.
Two-part.
There were three sentences, two questions.
Yeah. I would say, like, as far as like his acting, like, I already was getting like dive bar feels, so I just have to assume like the shitty not caring about anything is like, kind of baked into that. Thought his acting on it was kind of fine. I don't really have much of like a expectation, I guess. I just kind of.
Well, it's hard because you just like.
I don't know what type of character he's trying to act as, so like.
It's kind of hard because you just go, "Oh, hi, Quentin Tarantino." You know what I mean? Like
you can put him in any kind of hat, but
yeah,
it's just Quentin Tarantino.
It takes a real special kind of actor once you get past a certain level of fame. That, like, for example, like Robert De Niro and certain things. I mean, granted, the first time you see him, you're going, "Oh, there's De Niro," but the more the movie goes on, the more he gets into the character.
Sure.
And like that's why I totally respect the people that will, like, I would never do it, but I totally respect the people that like lose dramatic amounts of weight or gain dramatic amounts of weight or whatever, do dramatic things for roles. I 100% respect that because they're committed to completely becoming a different person for those things.
Yeah.
It takes a special kind of person once you ascended a certain level of fame to have someone not distracted by, oh, hello, Leonardo DiCaprio.
It's just why are we even acting like you're not you?
Like,
that's why I like it when like they bother to just have like stars just playing as themselves.
Yeah,
in some movies
I think
it's just
perfect.
like it's just Egwin just behind the bar, chilling.
He's just hey, the movie you're working on, I don't know yet. Yeah, be real.
Like I was thinking one about a bar.
Yeah, be real meta about it.
That'd be too much.
Yeah, like for example, like Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's fantastic to me. That's Rick Dalton and what's his face, the stuntman.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, they're awesome. Anyway, we'll move on. I like the moment when light flicks on in the parking lot when she's out there having a smoke. First half of the movie gives you like the strong slasher flick vibes, for sure.
Yeah, because we get like the creep where he was driving up, kind of watching them. I think I can't remember which location they were at.
It's the first bar with the margaritas where she gets told that she's having a lap dance.
So yeah, when he like pulls up and he's like in the middle of like a 4-way street or something, or like a 4-lane like
and
roadway kind of thing. He just fucking. I mean, it's all black, so you can't see.
Yeah,
He's just like creeping at him.
Yeah.
And then just.
Yeah.
Speeds off. I was like,
All right.
He goes, "You
We're all
saw
gonna
my
die."
car, and I saw your legs."
Yeah. and like he worked it so good because it was just like he had so much charisma and just being like, I thought you
Dude.
were hot. Like, what did you expect me to do?
He was a fucking rock star in this movie. Like, despite being a fucking creep like Kurt Russell himself,
Yeah.
was awesome with this role. I thought no one could have done it better.
Yeah.
He was fucking awesome.
Well, so they were looking at somebody else for him, right?
Yeah, Mickey Rourke.
That's right. Yeah, Mickey Rourke.
They talked about that when Tarantino was on Rogan, and he said like it was supposed to be Mickey Rourke. I think he said they were neighbor, like live in the same kind of area or something. And he was kind of talking to him about it. Gave him the script. He was interested, and then the agent started fucking with him, and they were like, oh well, they need Mickey, so they'll do whatever. And
fucking
so then
agents.
he just was
We
like,
should get an agent.
fucking agents are assholes. We need one. No. Yeah, so I guess that's when it just kind of stopped, and he moved on to Kurt Russell, but yeah.
I mean, Dynamite choice. It still
I
worked.
think he killed it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, just crazy charisma. Just the way he talked, interacted, some of his mannerisms. Like he was fun to watch.
He's good. We'll get to his book in a second. But like the music kind of changes when the light flicks on the parking lot, lights up his car. She's freaked out, and then that's when Omar comes up behind her, like, I didn't mean to scare you. I just got lucky. Ha ha! Very funny, asshole. And then she wants him to hold the umbrella and kiss good.
Yeah, I made specific note of how fucking smooth he like pulled that umbrella out though, because like they're chatting or whatever, and he's just like, psh, like it comes out and everything in like one perfect flick.
Yeah,
I was like, that was fucking clean.
Her line, like, you won't get wet, I promise. She goes, most guys wouldn't brag about that.
But I love that she's, kind of cemented herself as like this in control type of gal. Like, things work the way I want my body kind of thing.
Yeah.
She knew what she was about. I like that about her.
Yeah. I've kind of gone through and you have notes, don't you?
Oh, sure.
I've just been kind of bulldozing through mine.
No, I've kind of been piecing my stuff out in there. Some of the stuff I had about the early ones was very early on I established, I said opening scene, foot fetish.
Yes.
And then I shit you not, probably about like 20 times throughout this, I write down foot fetish continues. Because we saw so many feet throughout this one. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
My thing with that was, okay. There must be, you're probably right on the foot fetish thing. I guess Tarantino already was directing it.
Well, once we got to the second set of girls, Stuntman Mike, I think, like, licked one when she was, like, kind of laying back, had her foot hanging out.
I think he licked his finger and then did
yeah.
If I remember that right, but... And then he played it off. Where are my keys?
Yeah.
Here they are! And I'm like, oh, okay. Great acting, buddy. Like, that's when you know you're a good actor, when you can act well, acting like someone who's
trying to
acting
act bad. Yeah.
Like, that's good.
Yeah. And I have a bunch of comments once we get to that part of it there, too, so...
Yeah, but I think in the first part, though, it seemed like they were just kind of establishing, like, oh, Jungle Julia always has her feet over here, over there, and then of course she's got her foot out the window when the head-on crash happens. So
then, kind of once we were just going through, I was just like making kind of piecemeal comments that I made there. I wrote down Vietnam flashback to 14-minute boat chase as far as this car ride with all the dialogue. Because like I said, at first I wasn't quite feeling it, but I think once they kind of got settled into the bar, it started flowing a little bit better.
Yeah.
I liked just the novelty in some of the transitions where like the scene was like restarting, because of like the
bad
the
film. They were
everything.
talking about that. They wanted it to be like those old double feature movies. With, bad film and shit was all kind of cut up, and so like they put that kind of effect on. They put a filter on the whole two movies where it's always
Well-
kind of like all the stuff representing like
Yeah.
scratches and stuff in the film.
So what I was reading in that, just not going into too much to it, but was that on like Death Proof they did that all digitally, but on Planet Terror that they like physically damaged the film.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's fun.
So that was just what one source was saying. I didn't go back and verify it, but
Yeah.
they said that when they did Planet Terror that they like
We need
physically damaged it.
We need a fucking disclaimer in the in the description of every podcast and like just an audio, like an audible thing right in the beginning. Like any facts looked up on this podcast are not verified and could and probably are not true.
Yeah. But I thought that was really neat. But I like the way they kind of did that throughout. Just that there were a couple like restarts or that you see
The skips,
the skips and everything. It was neat. It was a good, nice effect. There was one of the scenes in the bar. I didn't write down which bar they were at, if it was the first or the second one, but it was where like Jungle Julie was kind of laid back, and there was actually like a picture, like a portrait behind her that was in that same pose.
Oh, nice.
I like small things like that where it's just like, you know, life imitating art, or there's like a repeating pattern that isn't super obvious.
Yeah.
Stupid stuff like that gets me going. But I thought that was really cool.
And Jungle Julia.
Yeah, and gosh, Jungle Julia. Oh, I even wrote down, because when she was texting, we saw it was Chris Simonson or whatever.
Yeah.
Was
Chris
Simonson.
Yeah.
Simonson.
I think it was Simon. I don't know.
But anyways, when I saw that she started texting him, I wrote down, "Who is he? I will fight him."
Nice.
Was very, very passionate about her.
Yeah.
And then that's where I made note about like the novelty of like being able to remember all the characters and everything. That was good. And then when Stuntman Mike was just going to town on those fucking nachos.
Yeah.
I like made a specific note that he was just destroying those. Those were like the wettest, soggiest, chewiest nachos I'd ever heard recorded in my life.
Yeah, and that dude, the dude that plays the girl, the one that's trying to get with Shauna Banana.
Yeah.
No, I'm just doing it on disrespect. He in the interview in one of the special features, he was saying like, he's like, I fucking love Kurt Russell, and then you know my part in this movie is like I gotta insult the guy, like sit at the end of the bar and make fun of him, but he can hear me.
Right. I don't know, there's almost kind of a novelty that I mean, like, oh my god, I get to talk shit about Kurt Russell.
Right, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. I just like the line, who's Stuntman Mike? He's a stuntman.
What more do you need to know? He doesn't need a backstory. He's Stuntman Mike. He stunts.
So yeah, Julia and the friends that show up late, they're all out on the back patio. They're having
Smoking the
some
reefer.
having some reefer, and awkward interaction. He almost sneezes, or comes, or has a heart attack. Something's going on. He comes inside. He's kind of getting the third degree of like, well, yeah, he just said he's stunt like Warren, the bar owner, Tarantino. He's like, I don't actually know if he's done anything. He just said he's a stuntman. So he said,
I trust him.
Show me an episode of... And they do all these obscure TV references that I meant to look up and just be like, is that a real show? Is that a real show? Knowing Quentin Tarantino and the way he does things, likely they were all real shows.
So, I remember when I was looking through some of the notes, there were two of them. I didn't happen to write down which ones, but there were two of them that were mentioned that Kurt Russell was actually in those TV shows.
Oh, word.
So it did actually kind of make sense.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I thought that was a good reference. But yeah, he was just like, I don't know. He showed me an episode of one of the shows, and it kind of looked like him, so.
He's like, guy fell off a horse. He said, that's me. Alright. Fucking Warren.
Good enough for me. But it's also kind of funny that they would have had an established enough relationship that he was like, well, let me tape this episode and show it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes you wonder how often Stuntman Mike's hanging out over there.
Yeah, and then, you know, for him to just up and abandon ship, you know, because whatever.
Yeah. Just moved to Tennessee. But
it's fine.
Is Stuntman Mike actually a stuntman? Or is he just full of shit?
He had to have been. Or else would he have gotten the car or any, like, the knowledge?
Okay. I mean, that's fine. I'm just saying, you know, often, you know, a guy like that could just be full of shit.
Yeah, he just happened to have money
Like,
and
I'm a
bought himself
stuntman.
a cool car. And
Yeah.
like, it was like, they were auctioning off a car that was used in a TV show and he bought it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Definitely possible. Things like this always killed me because it's like, well, if he's not a stuntman now, like, where's he getting his money? Like, what's his day-to-day look like?
Yeah,
You start to wonder because, like, obviously it seems like he's got a lot of free time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially once we hit the second act and he's photographing the girls and everything. It's like, so clearly he's spending some time kind of creeping on people.
Is this guy living in his car?
Yeah, but there's not shit in there. We see
Right.
plenty of scenes of the interior. There's not a damn thing in the car.
At least not in the first one, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And then, of course, his brother's named Stuntman Bob. Is Stuntman Bob real? Or was he just bullshit?
I hope he's real because I thought that was the dumbest shit. I was like, I hope that's genuine. Does Kurt Russell have a brother?
That'd be hilarious. I was like, of course. Like, what's your brother? Who's your brother? Stuntman Bob. Okay. Julia doesn't know the difference between your and your. She's the wrong your in her text message to Chris Simonson.
Now that I think about it, penny texting used to be a thing. Maybe she wanted to use less characters when she sent the message. But then why wouldn't you just do, you are or something? Just a thought.
Yeah. I mean, it's only one more letter if you just type out you are. And, because, I mean, I'm just thinking about the apostrophe is probably a character, right?
Yeah.
That probably counts.
That still counts.
So that's 6. If that's a character, you type out your. So, I don't know. Is this not the type of content people thought they were getting?
Let's talk about penny texting.
Death proof, 40 minutes in. So, does the apostrophe count as a character? Does that cost the extra? Alright, so, I don't know. What do you think his Scar origin is? Do you think it's a stuntman accident? Or do you think it's from one of his many crashes murdering people? Or do you think someone maybe got a little wise to his tricks and maybe slashed him or something?
Yeah,
what do you think?
I would think it'd be more so related to like maybe one of his other car crashes or whatnot. I almost feel like, once we kind of hit the scene where like they're in the hospital and talking about him, I feel like if he had done this multiple times, that like they could have established that with like the sheriff, like kind of talking to her. He's like, well, I'm guessing that it's a fetish kind of thing, and you kill 4 people at once. That's how he shoots his goo. They were kind of going on that thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, like if they had heard of him, like they could have established like, oh, I've heard about other states where this type of things happened, or like looked up some info on him. But he very clearly said, he's like, well, I could look everything up, do some investigation, gather evidence. And then, I forget what he said he would do.
Or
instead.
I can spend my weekends watching NASCAR.
Yeah, he was talking about NASCAR or whatever. And I was like, that to me was funny. He was like, he could have figured out if there was like multiple crashes, looked into more, but he was like, I don't fucking care. I'm gonna go watch me some NASCAR.
And he's like, I can make damn sure he's not going to do it again in Texas. Which is like, how? How did you make sure? Because then all of a sudden...
Well, you got eyes on him. As soon as he's outside your jurisdiction, then...
Well, I know, but how did he make sure, like... Do you think Stuntman Mike was just like, oh, well, I shouldn't do this again in Texas. They're going to be on to me.
Yeah. Or maybe there was a
got
conversation they had where he walked in and was like...
You need to go to Texas. I think it's one of those, like, suggestive... not a threat, but...
Yeah, be like, I hear Tennessee's real nice this time of year.
A lot nicer in Texas. I hear you'd be in jail if you stay in Texas.
Yeah.
I hear somebody might shoot you in the ass if you stay here in Texas.
I'm going to shoot you in the ass if you stay in Texas. He's like sitting there with the gun to his head. Leave Texas! That goes for all the people who currently live in Texas. Just get out of there, man.
Just get out, man. No, I don't know. So then that whole interaction with Butterfly, if that was happening for real, I might call the police for the girl that I was seeing it happening to.
Yeah. Bit creepy.
But due to the fact that it's in a movie, I know Kurt Russell's acting. I just like it because Kurt Russell is fucking awesome.
Sure. You didn't happen to call the police then while you were watching
No,
this.
I did not.
Hey, Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell, I think it was in 2007.
At about 36 minutes
Yeah, just get Death Proof, run it, something, just look in. Now, the way everything he says, the way he talks to her, she's like, I saw your car. What scares you? Is it my scar? No, it's your car. And they're like, oh, sorry. It's my mom's car. Which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
And Butterfly did too. And then the whole thing about, Bella, do you mind not cleaning your ass while we're recording? That'd be cool. Or licking your paws or whatever the fuck. Make it sound like somebody's getting head in here.
Listen, what happens under the table stays under the table.
You're right.
Unless you subscribe to our OnlyFans content.
That is strictly under the table footage.
Yeah.
It's just pretty boring. Just jeans, just legs and jeans.
Sometimes there's a dog.
Sometimes there's a dog licking her ass or licking her paws. So
yeah, not sure if that's the type of content we want to promote there. Want to watch a dog lick its ass? Subscribe now.
Yeah. Anyhow, and then his whole thing about, he's like, you know how people say, you're okay in my book, or that's no good in my book. Just that whole deal. And the way he says, I'll have to put you down as chicken shit. I thought just Kurt Russell was fantastic in that whole interaction.
Yeah.
It was probably his most rock star moment of the movie, of just like, because I don't know, just the way he's animated about the whole thing, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I thought he was great.
It almost makes it scary because it's like that's what like a kind of crazy person would do. Like if they have any bit of charisma, like they're gonna act kind of weird, and then someone's gonna be like kind of into it, and then that's how you die.
That's how you die.
I did make a note that that was his death note that he was writing in. If you're an anime or a weeb person, death note was an anime where you write the name in a book and then they die.
Oh, okay.
Death note, simple concept.
All right, so then, well, see, that makes more sense, because I was talking about the fact, because what, Kurt Russell says is, everyone I ever meet goes in this book, and I'm going to have to put you down as chicken shit.
Yeah.
And I also just like talking in that voice.
It's fun.
But I was thinking just the concept of, if you had a book with everyone you ever meet, ever. Yeah. Think of anyone you've ever meet, like, if you've gone to a conference, you meet like a bunch of people doing, hold on, wait, what was your name? We just bumped shoulders. What was your name? What do you do?
Just an exhausting activity to have to keep track of everybody.
Right.
You're talking about, he's got like a line of receipt paper and he rolls out, he's like, number.
Like, what do you like pull out your jacket, there's a roll, and you gotta like roll it out, and you're like, okay, hold on, number 876, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna fight you on your chicken shit.
It's in pencil, I can erase it.
I mean, lap dance? Okay. Nope. Chicken shit. Chicken shit.
Yeah, top tier, mental, emotional manipulation to get what you want out of women.
Yeah.
I don't know if that would work in today's day and age. Be like, listen, lady, I'm going to write down your name, and then I'm going to write chicken shit next to it unless you grind on me. And then you probably get shot.
You might get shot.
You'd probably get shot.
Do
not attempt.
Yeah, if it wasn't a big roll, it'd just have to be this fucking literal, like, Harry Potter thickness book that you're carrying around. Yeah. And just like,
he's got the tiniest, like, font. He's just like,
He's like, all right, what was your name again? All right, I'll follow you under meh.
Meh. Meh out of 10.
Meh.
Final rating.
Meh in pencil. We got some time left. We might see. First impression, meh. Overall rating, we'll see, All right, so this scene... so basically, we get Pam and they're leaving. I can skip ahead a little bit.
Sure.
So Pam takes the ride home. She's like, I'm not going to sleep with him. I can hear you. I would not sleep with this guy. I can still hear you.
I think that's when she was like calling him like old and like weird. And it's like, fucking learn to whistle. Now, granted, girls got to be plastered at this point. So
plastered. She's been sitting there drinking all night.
Yeah, no scope of like how to talk quieter.
She's got lots of money for drinks, no money for a taxi. She's taking rides home with strangers with skulls on their car.
Yeah,
and not putting the pieces together when she goes to get in the car and there's not a car seat. That would have been the point where maybe beg those friends that I'm not so fond
Enter
of over there for a ride or
the
a
gif
taxi.
of Ralph from Simpsons. I'm in danger.
Yeah. All right. So then the other thing is, so this scene's basically giving you a little clue into how they shot it when Pam's asking about the car, because Tarantino doesn't like CGI, and he was actually thinking like, and this is what he says on Rogan. He was saying like, well, if ever there was a time for CGI, maybe it's here, just because it's two cars colliding and there's all these people. So maybe, here's where I do it. But they figured he's I don't remember who he said the stunt coordinator guy was for this, but he's heavily into special features too. So, but all the car stuff was real. What he said on Rogan was the two cars were connected by wire, and
They were towed, basically.
Yeah, they were driving together, and so they did two shoots basically. So they have the scene where the two cars collide. Excuse me, and then the stunt driver, who I guess is like a classic film stunt driver, has been doing it forever. Buddy Joe Hooker, I believe was his name. Should have wrote that down, you'd think, but whatever. He did a jump where, so they have like the flattened front of the wrecked car.
Yeah, kind of ramp it.
So they shoot him like jumping it, and they wanted to get a flip and like sliding and the hood being open and all this shit. Or I don't remember the effect. Whatever.
Yeah, but they had an intended image of how they wanted it to go.
And they were like, it might take like 20, 30 times to get the one we want. And of course, the first try, it just fucking worked out exactly.
Yeah.
So kind of cool. We had a Wilhelm scream during the wreck, and
Classic.
Obviously, just very gruesome. I think some of the ways the girls died. I think Shauna Banana flew out of the car.
Yeah.
Butterfly took a wheel to the face.
So I had to rewatch the scene because I was actually confused, because when I saw someone fly out, I was still thinking that like Pam was still in the passenger seat and that was her flying out. And then I had to go back and watch it because I was like, well, what happened to... Like, I felt like we were missing a person.
Yeah.
But then I went back and was like, okay, no, that was just all of them. Pam didn't matter anymore.
Yeah, Pam, yeah.
She's already dead. We don't care.
She's pulp
Yeah.
at that point.
God. That was, like, honestly brutal. Like I said...
we should talk about this. He's pulling out,
Yeah.
and he says to her...
He's talking to her, and he's like, so which way you're headed? Left or right? And I can't remember which one, but she's like, I'm going right. He's like, darn, like, because we're going left. And if you had said left, then we could have driven for a while longer before you got scared. But you're going to have to get scared real quick now.
Yeah.
And then just, busts out, starts going.
Swerving,
Gosh.
knocking her head against the metal.
Yeah, just that setup alone, like I was feeling a little spicy. I was like, oh shit, here we go. Like this is where like the crazy starts to appear in his eyes.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, this is where we get into the meat. But yeah, he's swerving around. She's like banging her head on shit, and just the crying girl pleading with the like, it's a joke, right? Like, if you just let me out, I won't tell anyone because it's just a joke. I get it. It's so funny.
Yeah.
And just like the screaming, and I guess she wasn't really screaming, just the crying.
Just the begging, the pleading, yeah.
It's rough. It's always rough to see, especially because she did a pretty good job of it. She sold it very well. And those types of scenes are always really hard to watch.
She's not a recurring character, but she's a recurring actor in these two movies.
Yeah.
She's Rose McGowan, the gun leg girl in the next movie. Yeah, and then he says, I wasn't lying to you when I said this car was death proof. It's just you got to be on this side.
You really gotta be in my seat or in the driver's seat. Yeah.
He slams on the brakes. Her face goes against that bar. Just fucking, it takes her out.
That was rough.
She's done.
I went back and showed that scene to my wife just to kind of get her vibe and reaction from it there. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is creepy as shit." And then when he did the break and her face got smashed in, she was just like, "Oh god."
Yeah.
That's how I knew that scene was good, is because no context she could watch that and be like, I don't want to watch this movie.
Yeah. And so then, of course, he tracks down, the girls in the car heading up to the lake.
Expertly. It took no time at all.
No time. Speeds ahead, a couple miles down the road, or maybe a mile down the road, turns around, turns his headlights off, takes off for him. I got so caught up in the stunts thing, we didn't, cover what happens in the movie.
Forgot about the setup.
Yeah, drives right for him, and then flips the headlights on right as they're about to hit.
Yeah.
And so they have this maybe one moment of just like, oh, fuck!
Yeah.
And then, I think the girl driving was just pretty much taken out because a car hit her.
Yeah,
in the torso.
yeah. All you see is like the glass coming in at her and like the front end kind of like caving in on her. She didn't really get much of a gory death.
Probably the same way that Jungle Julia died, other than her leg obviously getting chopped off flying out of the car. 'Cause
just the way
she's a hoodlum.
It flopped on the ground. I was like, oh my god.
Shauna Banana flies out. Fuck her. And
she deserved it out of all the characters. Fuck her.
Butterfly takes a fucking tire to the face. That was a good time.
Yeah.
And
that was rough.
That
was good.
Wilhelm scream. Kurt Russell's fine.
Yeah.
My stuntman Mike.
What are you talking about? He got banged up a little bit.
He got banged up. He had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
He's sober. They can't do anything about it. That's the big thing why he gets away. He's been sitting in the bar drinking virgin pina coladas, eating nachos, lime and seltzer water, something like that.
Yeah, he had the perfect setup.
So, yeah, makes you feel creepy when you go to a bar and you're not a drinker and you're like, oh, water.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, who are you gonna kill tonight? You're like, oh.
Don't worry, my car is not death proof.
Yeah, my car is very.
If we crash, I die too.
It's a murder suicide if I kill you in my car. So.
That's the best game I can use. Like if I'm trying to pick up chicks, be like, listen, you seen the movie Death Proof? Be like, yeah, if we did that, we'd both die. So you want to get out of here?
You're on your last leg. You have no lines left. You're just like, I mean, we'd both die if my car crashed. Like, why do you tell me that?
It's rough.
So then, so the sheriff and his son are in the hospital.
Yeah. I like the dialogue between the two of them. It was very, like, kind of wanting to figure it out, but, like, couldn't be fucked to actually care.
Yeah, the whole thing we were saying about he just wants to watch NASCAR. I can make damn sure he doesn't do it again in Texas. However that worked out. But they're talking. He calls Dr. Dakota Block over. It's the blonde girl in the next movie. That's her dad. The sheriff's her dad. And
they're not on good terms.
They're not on good terms because of the male Dr. Block. I can't remember his first name at this moment. But we'll get to that in Planet Terror. And while we're looking at our end, we haven't even gotten to the second group of girls.
We still got a second section here.
So maybe we'll speed this up. But, I mean, not that it matters.
Yeah.
So they have a good talk about that. And then you can kind of tell that things are rocky between them already. She's probably already having problems with her husband. And where's it going with that? That's where you see those characters recur, because we saw the twins already.
Yeah.
And Julia is just in voice in the next pod movie. I mean, there too. But yeah, so that's just where those characters kind of recur. That's where you have the overlap with these two movies.
Yeah.
And I believe they did say that was a thing they wanted to do, is because those actors were often recycled for those types of movies that were made.
Yeah.
And so that's
just like, why not?
Why they did that. So that's fun. And then now we've got this new set of girls. We're in black and white for about the first 5 minutes of meeting these girls.
It was interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't sure why, but I think it worked.
Yeah. See, I have just personally, like whenever I see a scene that goes into like a black and white as something that's like primarily in color, like once it hits like a black and white sequence, I either start to read that as like it's a interpretation of either what actually happened, or it's like it's not an accurate, I guess, telling of the sequence. Because like in some movies we'll see like a dream sequence occur in like black and white. Sure. Like hallucinations sometimes occur in like those black and white scenes. Like usually when that's introduced, it's like presenting information and maybe not what actually happened. So like that's what I was kind of like trying to look into to see if there was like another layer of like something weird going on like in the background or anything, but
Yeah.
I didn't really find anything. It was just
It's just in black and white percent. I guess just a different tone
yeah.
of kind of going, he's in Tennessee now. He's got his new victims. I don't know why it had to be in black and white for us to figure that out.
No.
And then it changes the color when she goes and gets the soda. When it drops out of the machine, that's when it goes to color. Weird. But they pull up. Kim goes in for some stuff.
Forever.
Russell tickles her foot. And then, like, I think he licks his hand and touches her foot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when she, like, gets up and he's
And
like,
he
"Where are my keys?"
Yeah.
Which we talked about.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it too, we should make note that was it Lee who was in the front seat singing?
Yes.
He had a very pleasant voice.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you gotta have a good voice to be just like hanging out with your friends. Like I would never put on my iPod and just sing full volume in a car in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Just like when my friend was in the back seat, kind of half asleep.
And I.
So that was kind of funny. That was in the special features too. Just the whole version of her singing that song.
Oh, they did
Just,
like
filming her in black and white singing
Yeah.
that song, which was odd to put in the special features. But
maybe they couldn't figure out what part they wanted to cut out or
yeah, I
something.
guess.
But yeah, she has a very lovely voice. It was nice.
Yeah. Kind of. Oh, and that first scene is they're kind of hinting that she may have turned down The Rock, like for banging, but it turns out it was just an electrician named Bruce,
Yeah.
who they call The Rock because he kind of looks like The Rock. Where the hell's Kim? It doesn't take that long to get that stuff. Maybe the bathroom, but she got the coffee first. So did she take the coffee in the bathroom with her? Did she leave it
kinda
there?
gross,
Did she pay?
yeah.
Yeah, it's it's gross. And then she's getting vodka and sugar-free Geo, which I've never heard of.
No.
Maybe it's a Tennessee thing, or maybe it was a drink that was out in 2007 when I wasn't drinking energy drinks, and I've never heard of it, and it's gone. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Maybe
If you
it
got
was
any
just a
info on
Tennessee thing.
Geo, email us.
Yeah.
Sugar-free Geo, to be specific. The whistle from Kill Bill. That's Abernathy's ringtone. And there's all kinds of Kill Bill stuff. Zoe Bell was the stunt woman in Kill Bill, and they say that Cecil Evans, which is a made-up director, just for the record, fucked Daryl Hannah's stand-in. Daryl Hannah was, Elle Driver, California Mountain Snake, and Kill Bill. So just some Kill Bill stuff right there.
Yeah. Look up the trivia for either this movie or Planet Terror. It's ridiculous the amount of callbacks and references that get just shoved into every scene. It's incredible.
Yeah. My only thing with that scene is why just go in the store. Why you're looking at your friend through the window.
Yeah.
The door is 5 feet away. Just walk in, man. I don't know. That's just me. That's fine. I mean, maybe I don't know. You ever do that? You ever call your friend from the car? Hey, can you grab? Okay, from the car maybe. But if you're looking at me through a window,
Yeah.
and talking on the phone with me, you better just come to the store and buy the shit.
Yeah, I guess.
I don't know. That irritated me.
Note to self, don't ask Tyler.
Don't look at Tyler through a window and tell him to buy me stuff.
Good to know.
I mean, like, if I'm out... Okay, we're not spending a bunch of time on this, but I'm just saying. If you're looking at me through the window, just walk in the fucking...
Sure.
convenience
Yeah, no,
store.
if you can get like a very clear criteria written up for me, just send it over. I'd appreciate it.
Okay, I'll work on that email.
Yeah. I gotta say though, so like, just still while we were in that scene, and she had gotten out of the car and was like kind of sitting up against the hood of it there. This was after we had seen him pull off.
Yeah.
Like there was just one of the scenes.
And come back and pull off again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, like when I heard like the engine come, and I was like, "Oh shit! Like, is this how we're gonna start them off? He's just gonna
crash into the.
But then he wouldn't have gotten all of them. It wouldn't have had the novelty. But like I was kind of anticipating like getting ready for like it to be like a quick, like, these were all extremely disposable girls and there's going to be a third set kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't think you put Rosario Dawson and,
But-
guys like that in when they're to be disposable.
But if you look at where they do things like, it's going more into Planetara, but, we had Bruce Willis for like
He's
30
rather-
seconds cumulatively.
And I'm watching those special features, like, I guess,
None of his scenes were even shot with other people.
yeah, there's that, and I don't remember if I think Quentin Tarantino said, or maybe Robert Rodriguez as well. One of them commented on doing something with him, which, like, obviously, Tarantino did Pulp Fiction with him, but I guess Bruce was like, anytime, anywhere, like, just call me. And
I'll show up.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Like, oh, yeah, because it must have been to Robert Rodriguez, because then in that interview, Tarantino was like, he walked on set and saw Bruce there, and he's like, oh, what's Bruce doing here? He's like, oh, I just thought he was visiting, but I didn't know he was there. Yeah. So that's fun. Anyway, that's Planetara. Alright, and so then we have them sitting down in the diner. They pick up Zoe, and Stuntman Mike is photographing them because he's a pervert and a killer.
Yeah, sponsored by Nikon, though.
Sponsored by Nikon, this perversion. And so, yeah, he photographs them. They go to lunch, breakfast, whatever you want to call it, and they're eating, and basically the significance of this scene through a lot of roundabout dialogue. I found their dialogue was a little more interesting than the first group's, but maybe that's just me.
Yeah. I made specific note that they see, like, Tennessee women seem way more prepared for shit to pop off than Texas women.
Well, they're not even, they're just visiting, right?
Yeah.
So basically it's establishing, number one, this thing about Zoe. She falls, gets in, like, any situation where anyone else would normally get injured, she does not.
Yeah.
That's what they're establishing there. Number two, that Zoe would like to play they don't say the ship's mass thing till later.
Yeah.
But she's establishing she would like to test drive a white Dodge Challenger, like from the movie Vanishing Point, which is an homage to the movie Vanishing Point, obviously. And number three, they are saying that Kim carries a gun.
Yeah.
And that is why she shoots Stuntman Mike later, after they kind of their first main crash resolves. First main chase resolves. So yeah, I like Kim's comment. You know what happens to motherfuckers with knives? They get shot. And notes on that scene. Or anything?
I was just kind of writing down that they, definitely seem like kind of more prepared for shit to pop off.
Okay.
But yeah, I personally didn't enjoy their conversation or their dialogue as much as our first set of girls.
Okay.
But
all right. And so
Jungle Julia, man.
Jungle Julia. And then we kind of cut to them visiting this guy that's got a Challenger for sale. Oh, and Zoe subscribed to a Tennessee newspaper while living in New Zealand.
Yeah, how convenient.
So that's fun. But a guy's got a white Challenger for sale somewhere in town, and they go to get it. They pull up, honk the horn. Jasper says, "What do you horny gals want?"
Jasper's the MVP.
I don't remember who plays Jasper, and I should have wrote it down, but he's in some other things, and he does a good job just being a...
Yeah, he definitely sold the I'm the creepy redneck, not gonna rape you, but might rape you kind of guy.
I feel like maybe Jasper's just this dumb, but I feel like he would have kind of figured out that something was afoot with all that talking happening. There's these two extended conversations where people are yelling at each other.
Yeah.
Before they come back and talk to him.
Yeah. What would have been a nice kind of like duality or repeat would have been like, I can hear you.
Yeah. I can still hear you.
That would have been funny.
Yeah. And then we got more bad friends in this group.
So
they just leave Lee with the creepy guy.
She wasn't even like awake. She was asleep on that chair. Like, she was out, and like they were just gonna leave.
Yeah, there's, oh, Lee, this is Jasper.
Good luck.
Good luck, we'll be back to pick you up later.
But like even the like them talking to each other. No, I'm not gonna say that she'll blow him or something. I'm gonna insinuate that she might.
Yeah.
Poor girl.
And that was kind of the significance of her getting the Vogue magazine earlier was...
So they could...
No, Italian Vogue was what they bought behind the counter. And then what was she in? And I don't remember the magazine.
Yeah, I only wrote down the Italian Vogue.
But, yeah. Are we boring you, Bella? I love a dog sigh. Dog sighs make me
Dog
laugh.
said to wrap it up. Let's go.
Yeah. No, we're at an hour 10, yeah. So yeah, bad friends. I would have liked to see the return to the car and see that Lee's okay and hopefully not raped and murdered.
Nope, she's definitely dead in the basement. It's fine.
Oh, okay. And also, just logistically on this scene, it seems like they could have dropped the other two girls that wouldn't be playing off at the hotel, let them kind of do their thing, and then
rather than having to explain around like
they're trying to lie to Abernathy the whole time, like, no, you just stay here, and she's like, no, fuck that.
She wanted to be a cool kid. She felt left out. We've all been there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I just feel like they could have come back and been like, well, we're leaving the car with you. That could have been collateral enough, but instead they bring their friend and they use their probably the hottest friend of just like, oh yeah, look, she's in a skimpy little cheerleader outfit. You get to talk to her for an hour.
Well, especially when your son is like, oh yeah, she's in a cheerleader movie. It's a porno. She's real shy about it though.
Yeah, don't mention it. What's a cheerleader movie? A movie about cheerleaders.
Fucking classic.
Fucking Jasper. Alright, so before we get into the scene, what's better in this movie? Is it the head-on collision? What stunt's better? The head-on collision, just a little while ago, or the final chase scene here?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Lately I haven't been into like as drawn out sequences. I liked the car crash just because I liked all of these characters. They had been built up so much, and then like we just instantly simultaneously massacred them all.
Nice.
So I kind of like the novelty of like, I got to fall in love with Jungle Julia, and then he gets to take her from me, and we only that scene is over in like a minute.
Yeah.
By the time the actual crash flips, and then we're just like, oh, whatever, it's resolved, move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
But I also just think car crashes like that are so cool. Like anything that's just like a big, head-to-head kind of thing, that'd be cool. If I was a stuntman, I would want to be in a head-on collision and survive,
Yeah. Well, there's no people in those cars when they did that.
Yeah.
It's all remotely done, but yeah.
Yeah. And what I read, too, was that they had, like, a pain in the ass of trying to make them, like, move around realistically and stuff after they'd done it.
Yeah, because they had to make all those dummies, and
but yeah, overall, I'd say I like the crash more so, just because it was hot and sweet and fast, and I was upset.
Yeah. I like the chase because it's probably like the best. I mean, well, this is probably the movie with, despite all the dialogue, it's probably the movie with the best like car stuff, that I've seen.
Yeah.
It's it's not every day you see a real head-on collision. I don't know that's been. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of a movie that's actually been done.
Yeah,
in, like,
because
a real
probably
two
cheaper
cars.
to just CG two cars hitting each other, because then the take is you only do one.
Or they just speed up two cars kind of rolling 10 miles an hour at each other.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Clunk.
They both slow down to like 3 before they hit each other. Yeah. Alright, yeah. So I like the last one. I like how they just the drawn out chase, and then the way they come down off of that higher road, and they swipe the back of his car and he flips and all that shit. I think that's cool as fuck.
Yeah, good setup. But I mean, it definitely was effective in stressing me out.
Yeah.
Because things like that, just when I know like someone's in imminent danger, even when Zoe had the straps, I was like, okay, like it's kind of freaky, but she'll be fine. She's kind of anchored in. And then once it was just her like gripping onto parts of the car, I was getting a little sweaty there. I was like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, so that's the other cool thing there. I should have talked about all the stunts when we started into that earlier, but I just moved on in the plot.
You're good.
Because I suck. But, so basically, yeah, Zoe Bell is a real stunt woman, and she did all that. Anytime you see her on the hood of the car, like that is Zoe on the hood of the car, you know, hanging on for dear life. Now, she was, what Tarantino said in that, because they don't talk about this in the special features, but what they do talk about on that Rogan interview is that she had like a cord like around her belt that was, you know, run into the car, and there's a stuntman in the back seat, like a crew guy in the back seat, and he's giving her more slack or taking some away, like, you know, whatever the situation calls for.
But enough to keep her attached to the hood of that vehicle.
And so, you know, he was basically saying, you know, it helps her if, you know, she were to lose her grip or whatever, but it's also fucks her if the car rolls over, because then it's just going to kill her.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to fly off the car. She's going to be attached to this rolling over car. So, but very cool that she was actually on the hood doing that.
Yeah, props to her. I couldn't imagine.
Yeah. And that's why he couldn't be in a relationship with Zoe Bell.
She is too damn cool and too fearless for me.
You know, a couple continuity things in the middle of this one. Not continuity, just reasons why the chase didn't have to keep going. For example, so they get kind of like run off the road at one point, and they kind of like are doing this turnaround, and they're going pretty slow, and Zoe's still on the hood of the car, and it's like, you could have just stopped.
Yeah. I mean,
let her out real quick.
Adrenaline fear running through you. I'm sure escape was the only thing on the mind, but it's like, yeah, if I was Zoe, like, even as the car was not moving too fast, I would have shimmied through the window or something. Like, you weren't in that high risk.
Stop. Like, if that was me on the hood of that car, it's like, okay, just stop.
Right.
Like, no, wait, no, you wait.
You wait. It's like, fine, you get out here. I'll drive.
Yeah, I don't care. As long as it's not me. So, you know, it seems like she could have jumped off the hood real quick and got in the car, and they could run away or attack him or whatever the fuck they want to do. Also, there's a part where he gets run off the road, and you think that'd be a good time for them to just kind of slow it down. And, you know, we were talking about right before, you know, it seems like, you know, they could have, like, slammed on the brakes, and he flies past, but I think, you know, if Zoe just kind of flies off.
Yeah. Too much
that's the case.
inertia there.
But I feel like if you kind of subtly are like, you know, he's doing this shit, and you just kind of like start letting off the gas.
Like, you don't have to slam on it just to get that. Because with how fast you guys are going, your brakes are going to, you know, take you down from like 80 to 50 real quick.
Yeah, but I'm not even saying hit the brake. I'm just saying, like, just no gas.
Yeah.
You know, just kind of let it just slow down. And then he's going to be like, hey, what do we... And, you know, then he's going to be down at 20, and then the chase is at 10, and then Zoe just gets out. She just hops off because she's a badass, and, like, you know, after the crash happens, and they go, oh my God, Zoe, you're alive, you know, and then she goes and grabs it. She's like, okay!
Oh, man, that was, like, the cutest thing, too. She just, like, hopped up, and, like, her hair flies up and everything. She's like, I'm okay!
Yeah. And, you know, she grabs a fucking metal pipe, and then, you know, they pull around. She fucking hops in the car, and then, of course, she doesn't get all the way in. She's hanging out the side of the car.
Well, I think she even still had, like, one leg hanging out. Yeah! I was like, oh, God, here we go again.
You're just doing the same thing.
They're just going to reuse the leg from the first act.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's a couple opportunities to let her off. And then there's we talked about the near miss where no. There's the near miss, right, where Stuntman Mike's chasing him down the road still. Mm. And then there's a oncoming big van coming. And so he's like, watch out! Which I just think is ridiculous, because if I was on the hood of a car and there's a man trying to kill me with his car, I definitely would not give him a heads up on that van coming.
Trying to explain that. Her brain went into work mode. That guy's also a stunt driver. She's trying to keep him safe.
I mean,
and maybe that's why she was still able. Like, she was still, she was, I think, crying at one point. Like, she was stressing out. But
She's like, I'm sorry I called you a black bitch.
But, maybe that was just work brain kicking in, and she's like, watch out. Like,
Yeah.
obviously the scene has to go on, but I don't want you to crash.
Yeah.
So maybe it was something like that, but...
So hopefully someone's filming this. Watch out. I'm just saying I would not have said it. Because I'm not a stunt woman. Yeah. So, near miss. And apparently this car wasn't quite as death-proofed as his previous car was.
Yeah, I mean, it costs money, you gotta think. Maybe he hadn't gotten it death-proofed, he'd just gotten it, Maybe he'd bought, like, another car. I forget, did it have the same license plate?
I don't know. I
remember if we really saw it. Because I know on the girls one, they had, like, whatever company they worked for was, like, Brand X or something. On the girls' car, but I can't remember if we actually saw his license plate or not.
Yeah,
Not that it would have mattered. But.
Right. So there's... So, yeah. Chase him down the road. Lots of opportunities. Zoe flies off the hood of the car. Stuntman Mike kind of wipes out. Gets out of the car. Starts laughing. And he's like, hey! That was fun!
Yeah.
And then he starts to drive. He's about to get in the car. Kim pulls out her gun. Shoots him in the shoulder. Ah! He starts shooting. At least he hit him once. She hit him once.
And of course it was the first shot, too.
First shot, and the rest of the shots can't aim for shit. And he gets in the car, takes off. And then, there's a moment here. He stops. And he's turned into a blubbering bitch.
God, he's such a pussy all of a sudden.
And he's like, why? Oh, God! Oh, God! Why?
You wouldn't have thought, he'd gotten shot in the arm. You would have thought, his whole, intestines were hanging out and he had minutes to live.
Or maybe he got castrated like the dudes in the next movie. What was up with that dude? No, Planet Terror. We're doing a separate podcast. So he's crying. He pulls out a bottle of whiskey from his glove compartment, and he's like, "Just do it!" He pours it on himself more.
Just wailing. He was the biggest pussy.
Yeah, and So then, meanwhile, the girls, they're sitting there crying in the car. Oh God, Zoe's dead. She pops up, as we said. Okay.
Fucking love it.
She's like, oh, of course, Zoe the fucking cat. Gets in the car, they go to get him.
The mindset change right there, where she's like, oh, she's fine. You want to go kill him?
Yeah, she goes, Zoe comes up to the car, he's like, you want to go get him? Oh, hell yeah.
Just went, complete 180. But I love that dynamic, is that, as soon as somebody got the upper hand, it was like, all right, we got to eliminate this dude. Let's go fuck him up. And then, he was now the one being pursued. Yeah. Love that role got swapped.
Yes. And, because, obviously he's a big asshole, so you kind of like, all right, so you're right. And then, first they just rear end the fuck out of him. He looks at
every time he gets hit, though, too, he's just like, ah! He just...
No! But I love when he gets rear-ended when they find him, because he's taking a drink, and then all of a sudden he sees it in the rearview mirror, and he's like, just boom! Hit the shit out of him. And so then, chase begins again. By the way, Zoe just, reaches in and just fucking whacks the fuck out of him with that pipe or whatever the hell she found.
Yeah.
Good times.
She was a tough bitch. I'm surprised he even, was conscious after that. I feel like he would have just been, slumped.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah, beat the shit out of him. It was great. I just said Kurt Russell does real good with the whiskey and the wound. And then, we go through a big thing of, they keep hitting him. They won't relent. And, at one point he's like, I'm sorry. I was just messing around. Like, oh, you were just messing around. He was just messing around. Laughing at him and shit. And, he kind of loses them at one point. They have to take this high road. And they're like, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
And then
they
of course,
set that
it
up
doesn't
so
get
good
in.
too, because you couldn't even really see like that far ahead to
Yeah.
see like if there was going to be oncoming traffic even or anything
Yeah.
like that. So I was like, oh shit, like
And they
it'd
all,
be so awful to make it that far and then they,
And then they
die
died
in a completely separate...
unrelated to him. Yeah. And high road meets the low road. They cut. I mean, time it perfectly. Hit his tail end. He flips over. And he's blubbering like a bitch once more.
He's like half hanging out of the fucking car.
He's like, careful, my arm.
Yeah. It's like, fuck your arm, bro.
Yeah, I know. And then they just beat the living shit out of him.
Yeah. Almost like the comedic cuts of, punch, sound effects, camera change, punch, sound effect, camera change. Just.
And then I love that the credits kind of start, and then it comes back, and Rosario Dawson, or Abernathy, she takes her heel and just boom, like way up high with her leg.
Yeah.
Just really crushes his fucking face, which is fun. Legally, I don't know how all that works out.
I mean, if I were them, I wouldn't have reported anything and probably just left.
Yeah, that guy's probably trying to live off the grid anyway, and then they just find...
Yeah.
Of course, I'm just saying they're going to find... They might find hairs or, their blood or something going on there. I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Legally, I don't know that they get out.
They're clean or anything.
I don't think they're completely in the clear, but... And then again, I just would have liked to see them returning to the Challenger too.
Yeah, that definitely should have been like
Jasper.
even if it was just like a quick deleted scene or something.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of hoping for.
Like 'cause the way I
Couldn't
pictured
find
it in my head
anything.
was like they come back and they're like, "All right, Lee, let's get out of here." And like Jasper just doesn't say anything. He just looks at the car and then they just get in their car and leave. And it's just like a really awkward scene of like, we're not going to explain it.
And Lee's
We're
chained to
gonna
a
go.
radiator in the basement. Just tears. Which is not funny.
Poor Lee.
Poorly. Okay. What would you rate the first movie?
I enjoyed it a lot, but I wouldn't rate it very high.
No. It's definitely my lowest rated of the Tarantino movies, because as anyone that listens or watches this knows, I fucking love Tarantino movies, but it's on the bottom of my Tarantino list.
Yeah. Would still definitely like watch it again with people just to kind of get the reaction talk with it. So I think I'd still put it around like a 6.
Yeah.
I still like a lot of parts of it, but I think as a whole watch through, it's not something I'd probably watch on my own again. It's something I'd want other people to kind of get feedback on, do kind of like back-to-back dialogue.
Yeah, I want to watch. There's a part to this movie that I want to watch. It's Kurt Russell. Yeah, you're okay in my book, and just the crashes. If I could just get the quick clips of the big crash parts.
Yeah.
That'd be good for me.
Yeah. Grand scheme of thing, you could cut this movie down to like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
You really could. Yeah, you cut out a lot of dialogue and just go, this guy wants to kill these girls. Okay.
Yeah, we just freeze frame, do some quick voiceovers, and then move on to important scenes.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate. I'm gonna go 7 because I'd watch it again, but I'm not giving a Tarantino a D. You know what I mean? Not giving a Tarantino movie a D.
Sure. I mean, we're going off of personal enjoyment.
It's a C minus.
Yeah.
Because it's still fun. Parts of it, anyway. I may fast forward through the whole talking in the Texas Chili parlor and all that shit. The explanation of the lap dance.
Yeah.
But you know what's weird is the more I watch heavy dialogue movies like this, I feel like I'm more into them, like, the second, third, fourth time I watch them.
Sure.
I don't know why. Maybe it's because I know what's coming and I'm not just going like, what? With certain movies, I feel like when you know what's coming, it almost makes it better.
Yeah.
Unless it's some kind of movie with a big plot twist at the end, because you're never going to get the same feeling of the first time you figure out the twist and you're bewildered. Oh man.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, for me, plot twist, or at least that level of it, was when they got in the car, because like the whole time I'm waiting to see like when like conflict starts, and then once they finally get in the car, I'm just like, oh shit, here we go.
yeah.
But at that point, it was just almost an hour of me just like, all right, like, am I missing things or stuff building in the background? Like, obviously we have our characters set, like
You like
Get into the
sometimes when you watch a movie, you go, Like, you kind of like go back to the case and you're like, is this the right... I mean, yeah, I mean, it says death proof.
It's a horror movie, isn't it? Or a slasher movie.
Oh, is this a horror movie?
Horror movie, that's right. There was a lap dance. It's all coming together.
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's Death Proof. Be right back with Planet Terror. But if this is where you check out, subscribe to Content Crisis on our YouTube channel. Content Crisis Hotline Yahoo.com is our email. You can tell us we're stupid, whatever you want to tell us. Content Crisis 1 on Twitter. Subscribe to Pod on Spotify, Apple, whatever. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.